I want to welcome everybody this morning. This is the May 6, 2024, 9 a.m. meeting of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If I could have everybody stand for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
And at this time, we take a moment of silence for individual prayer, reflection, and meditation. And we also take this time to honor and remember our first responders and the men and women in our military who keep us safe and protect our freedoms at home and abroad. And if I could ask everybody to recognize during this moment of silence and honor the life of Pastor Daisy Henry, who passed away over the weekend. So a brief moment of silence. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. There's no additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda today, and we have a few announcements. There's a couple of board council vacancies. We have, if you can go to visit our website at www.flaglercounty.gov, go to the transparency dashboard page and select citizens advisory boards. And you'll see the list of our vacancies there. I know there's a couple for the Affordable Housing Committee from the City of Palm Coast. Upcoming commission meetings, we have a joint meeting with the City of Ormond Beach on Thursday, May 16th at 5:30 p.m. That's in Ormond Beach. And our next regular meeting is Monday, May 20th at 5 p.m. First up on recognitions is going to be our Distinguished Budget Award presentation from the Government Finance Officers Association, and this is presented by John Brower, our Financial Services Director. Good morning, Mr. Brower.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. John Brower, Financial Services.
Here comes the team.
Here we go. All right. Mr. Chair, it's always an honor to be before the board, but today I'm particularly proud to announce that the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada has conferred the nationally recognized Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to Flagler County's annual budget. This award is the highest form of recognition in government budgeting, and its attainment represents a significant achievement. Due to GFOA's migration into a new computer system, the timing of the award notices was delayed, resulting in bringing you the announcement of this award for the last 2 years. The budget for fiscal years ending September 30th, 2023 and September 30th, 2024, this fiscal year. These two awards represent the 14th and 15th straight years the county has attained this honor, showing the board steadfast commitment to not only achieving but maintaining excellence in government budgeting. In addition, the budget award for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023 includes receiving special recognition for our capital program, and the budget award for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, again, this fiscal year, includes receiving special recognition for our strategic goals and strategies. This marks the first time in our county's history that we've received these enhanced distinctions. This award is unique in many ways, but one of my favorites is that deeply involves input from every department across our organization, working with the Office of Management and Budget as they create and fine-tune the most important, most visible, comprehensive tool we have to offer our citizens. Certainly, it's a budget book, but it's also a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. And it's clear that the better it is, the better we're serving our citizens. Your dedicated Office of Management and Budget team includes OMB analyst Michael Catalano, Brandy Allen, and Dan Nicholas, senior OMB analyst Amanda Gilbert, and OMB manager Brian Eichinger. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the assistance of Carlos Hernandez, one of our favorites, your audio and video production coordinator, which turned up my mic so you guys can hear me. Thank you, Carlos. This nationally recognized award is not possible without their hard work, and I sincerely wish to thank them all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
round of applause.
We get a picture?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody have some comments for our distinguished team?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
You know, I always say good government is boring. Financial management, if you do it right, no one really notices. And that's okay. That's good. You know, it's when you make mistakes and there's problems is when things just get blown, out of proportion and bad things happen and to a lot of people. But the fact that we have such consistency in the department is a credit to y'all and sure appreciate that very much. It's very important and one of our key responsibilities that we have to the citizens. So appreciate your work.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes, congratulations to the team. You do a great job and consistently do a great job. And one thing I always remember, the quickest way for us, the board, your board, to get in trouble is to have things go wrong financially. And so it's really critical what you do. So thank you.
Thank you very
Commissioner
much.
Hanson.
And it's tremendous service you do to the county. And you've heard me say this 100 times, but one of the most important things we do is spend the taxpayers' money. And if we don't do it correctly, or we do it just haphazardly, or we lose track of it, or whatever, shame on us, So you're so critical to the success of the county. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I just, will add that the proper operations of your department just help our efforts in making sure that the public has confidence and trust in what we're doing. And it gets harder and harder every day. You now have the cyber issues, the phishing schemes, and everything that you have to keep track of, because we've seen instances of that that can be devastating, to an organization. So appreciate everything that you all do. You have a great team, and I know they do a lot of hard work behind the scenes that nobody really notices, like everybody said, but it is much appreciated. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
And we will see you all back a second time, but all right, picture. Say cheese under our breath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you all. All right, our first proclamation for today is Problem Solving Court Month. Problem Solving Court Month is May 2024, and this is requested by our court administration, the 7th Judicial Circuit. Do we have anybody with us today? All right.
All right.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
So I'm Judge Perkins. I am the drug court judge, as well as other duties over there in the courthouse. So in appreciation for the recognition, I thought maybe I'd put some names and faces with our drug court team. So we have a number of folks that are here. So this is Mr. Spencer O'Neill. Mr. Partington, as you well know, is our designated representative to drug court from the Public Defender's Office, and he could not be with us. I'm sure you'll see him at your meeting next week, actually. But Mr. O'Neill is filling in, as he does on occasion at our drug court. Shirley Olson is with court administration, and she is our liaison to court administration. So she's the one that coordinates everything we do, not just within our system, but within the 7th Circuit. So she's in charge in that respect. I think probably the heart of drug court is Mr. Diaguardi right here. He's our administrator and coordinator for drug court. So he helps us bring people in. He's the one that shows up every morning and does the random UAs, all of that. That all falls on Mr. D. One of the punishments used to be for drug court is they had to walk with Mr. D because he would walk about 3 miles at lunch every day. So we did that. And then we have Ms. Clark, Kimberly Clark, who's also here with us. So Ms. Clark is in charge of drug court across our circuit. So she often attends our meetings. and also assists us in our communication with you and others. So this is kind of our drug court team. Now, a couple of really important people I want to acknowledge. So we have a direct relationship with the state attorney's office. We have an assistant state attorney that is assigned to drug court, Ms. Telfer. She's in court now and couldn't be here. So we also have a designated person with the clerk's office that attends our drug court. She is actually checking people into felony court. That's going to start in just a couple of minutes, so that she couldn't be here as well. We also have designated representatives from probation. So Ms. McKinney and Ms. Sherrill not only attend our meetings, but they also help us in our search for applicants and participants for drug court. So they're very, very important. We couldn't do drug court without the Sheriff's Department and the services that they provide, not just in the courtroom and security and things of that nature, but also attending our meetings for organizational purposes, security purposes, and also making recommendations with regard to our process and procedure in that way. So I want to thank all of those people. Now, that's the face of drug court. So we also have treatment that's provided through drug court, and Dawn Millspaw, I don't believe, is here. So she's the one that actually is in charge of providing the treatment. Now, all of you have been to drug court. You've been to our graduations. That's the ceremonial side of drug court. Honestly, the magic happens in treatment, and that's what she does, and our success is directly related to how successful she is. So I know all of you have been to drug court. I believe all of you have been to a graduation. Mr. Chair, I don't remember you being a keynote speaker, so I think I have one graduation.
Not yet.
I think I have one graduation left before my retirement, so perhaps you might consider doing that.
Absolutely.
But of course, we're effectuating the policy that you put into place, okay? It's your encouragement, your enthusiastic encouragement, quite frankly, and your support that makes it possible. We do it because of what you provide to us. So I want to thank you for your vision in that regard. So it works out pretty well. Any questions I can answer for anybody?
Well, I'm going to take a moment and read your proclamation, and then we'll approve it, and we'll take a picture, and you can take this back with you. So this is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners recognizing the month of May 2024 as Problem Solving Court Month in Flagler County. Whereas for more than 30 years, thousands of problem-solving courts have been restoring lives, reuniting families, and making communities across the nation safer. And whereas problem-solving courts provide focus and leadership for community-wide partnerships bringing together public safety and health professionals in combating substance abuse, mental illness, and other issues present in the criminal justice realm. And whereas research shows that problem-solving courts significantly improve treatment outcomes and do so at a lower cost than other justice system strategies. And whereas since the Flagler County Drug Court's inception in 2006 began, 232 people have graduated from this problem-solving court program. And whereas 75% of Flagler County Drug Court graduates have had no new felony charges and 80% no new drug charges. And whereas judges, attorneys, treatment and rehabilitation professionals, law enforcement, community supervision personnel, researchers, and educators join to form healing communities. And whereas the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners recognizes the work of problem-solving court programs to better our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that the month of May 2024 be recognized as Problem-Solving Court Month in Flagler County, and congratulate this year's drug court graduates, adopted this 6th day of May 2024 and signed by Tom Bexley, the Clerk of Courts, and myself as chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve May 2024 as Problem Solving Court Month. Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Come join us for a picture.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I know he's walking out the door there, but, Your Honor, you said a lot of things about everybody up there, but you didn't say anything about yourself. And, I've been to a lot of the graduations, as the other commissioners have, but the program really has been just amazing under your guidance and tutelage. And it's very obvious, from an outside person, when you come to the graduations, as you said, we're not interacting on the day-to-day basis, but when you go to the graduations and you observe your compassion and caring for all of those participants in the program, it's very obvious, and our county's the better for it. And thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
just
Mr.
with all the things we've been through in the last few years, like COVID and all those interruptions and everything, to keep things going is really critical. Good luck to you. I know you're coming near the end, like a few of us up here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. All right, the next proclamation is Emergency Medical Services Week, which is May 19th through 25th of 2024, requested by Chief Michael Tucker, Fire Rescue. Who has that one tonight? All right, Commissioner O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's my pleasure to read a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating May the 19th through the 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Flagler County. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, public safety telecommunicators, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, and trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by recognizing Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim May the 19th through the 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Flagler County. Adopted this 6th day of May, 2024, attested to by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Court, and signed by our Chair, Mr. Andrew Dance.
All right. Would you like to move?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, Mr. Chair, want to move adoption of the proclamation?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Congratulations and welcome.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman Dance and members of the commission. Obviously, I'm Mike Tucker, Flagler County Fire Chief, and we want to take this opportunity to say thank you for recognizing, EMS Week. It is, as Commissioner O'Brien indicated, it is a pretty critical component of life for us anymore. A long time ago, pre-hospital EMS consisted of, Flagler of funeral homes transporting either patients or other individuals from scenes, and we have transitioned to a point now to where the things that the paramedics and firefighters and the doctors and the nurses are doing are absolutely amazing. It is 75% of what we do is EMS, just in our part alone. And, when I look at the men and women who are riding the rescues and functioning as paramedics, I can tell you that 38 years ago when I got into this business, they're doing things now that I never thought about doing. Medications that they're administering were not even thought of. The things that the cardiac monitors do now are absolutely, amazing. And we're making a difference day in and day out in people's lives. And, Commissioner Sullivan, you mentioned COVID. And I would tell you that COVID was one of the inflection points in our industry. It changed the direction of the industry significantly, and it is getting harder and harder to, to hire and to train and retain, paramedics and firefighters and police officers, as well. So the recognition of this week is important, and we want to say thank you, for that. Pre-hospital EMS involves the telecommunicators, from the ladies and gentlemen who answer the phone, all the way to the doctors and the nurses in the emergency room. It includes the paramedic and the firefighter. And it also, yes, it includes the police officers, as well. They're all a part of it, So we just say thank you for taking the opportunity to recognize, our team and our crews, this week.
Thank you very much. I know there's some comments from our commissioners, so Commissioner Sullivan?
Well, yeah, I'm up here, probably because of the emergency medical service, who helped me out a lot when I had my stroke. So I can say nothing more than congratulations, thanks for doing your job, and I hope I don't need you again.
And we hope not to, Commissioner.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Hanson?
congratulations. It's just it's a superb service, absolutely superb service, and one that we know in the county that we can count on. We can count on you guys. So that's important. Thank you.
Anything, Commissioner O'Brien, anything?
My son works on the intake side at the hospital at the ED, and he just tells me the amazing work that that he observes every day for y'all folks to help all the people in transport and bringing them in and keep them stabilized. So just, it goes without saying the work is critical and real important to our society. So thank you.
I spoke this weekend to a gentleman who's still with us, had a stroke, and was highly complimentary of the service that was provided when he needed it the most. Kind of piggybacking on Commissioner Sullivan, and you raised the question, so I'm asking a question about the medication. Does EMS personnel supply or have the medication, that new stroke medication, or is that only done at the hospital? So I know it's a timing thing.
That is administered at the hospital, but
Okay.
part of the assessment, that they're able to do, identifying the stroke and the type of stroke in the field and getting them into the appropriate facility is part of that, that
So the
time.
quickness, the response, and getting them to the hospital is the critical timeline in that.
Specific to stroke and
Yeah.
into the appropriate facility, not just any hospital is set
Right.
up to do that stuff.
Okay, well, very good. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces up here this morning. Thank you for everything that you do and for our EMS personnel. Definitely, as the county is growing, it's unfortunate you guys are busy. You just from what you see on vehicle accidents and everything, it's unfortunate, but your services are needed, and I know our residents appreciate the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, come on up for a picture.
You get a lot of pub on the radio now, or TV with 911. You guys are getting a lot of free publicity.
Oh, young Mr. Allison in the middle.
Are you ready?
All right.
There
Thank
go.
you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Great work.
All right, our next proclamation is National Correctional Officers and Employees Week, May 5th through 11th of 2024, requested by Sheriff Rick Staley and Chief Daniel Engert, Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Staley, you have a little contingent with you, so welcome, good morning, glad to have you here. I think Commissioner Hanson has this proclamation for you today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A proclamation of Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating May 5th through 11th, 2024 as National Correctional Officers and Employees Week in Flagler County. Whereas the Flagler County Sheriff's Office detention deputies are correctional employees in Flagler County that form a core element of the public safety team in our community. And whereas our detention deputies provide security, supervision, and treatment services for more than 3,000 individual cases in the course of a calendar year, and in recent years, their duties have been increasingly complex and demanding. And whereas in Flagler County, professional detention deputies have co-equal role with law enforcement and fire rescue colleagues, engaging in dangerous and potentially life-threatening situations on a daily basis. And whereas members of the Flagler County community need to more fully recognize and understand the complex, dangerous, and challenging responsibilities carried out by every single staff member in the Flagler County Detention Facility, who are called upon to fill simultaneously custodial, supervisory, and counseling roles. And whereas each Flagler County Detention Facility staff member accepts enormous personal and professional responsibility, which is unlike that of any other agency in Flagler County. The professionalism, dedication, and courage exhibited by these deputies throughout the performance of their demanding and often conflicting roles deserves utmost respect. And whereas the work of our public safety teams will be increasingly recognized and understood as a foundation of public safety in Flagler County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim the week of May 5 through 11, 2024 as National Correctional Officers Employees Week in Flagler County. We encourage all residents to join in recognition and appreciation of the outstanding service our professional detention deputies provide for the safety and welfare of our community. Adopted this 6th day of May, 2024. Attested to by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Court, and signed by the Flagler County Board of Commissioners Chairman Andy Dance.
Great.
Congratulations.
Welcome. Congratulations.
All right,
Good to
thank
have
you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. So before I make my comments about our award-winning detention team, I just want to congratulate the firefighters and rescue for their proclamation, because we do work hand in hand with them. And we all know that everybody loves the firefighters, probably a little more so than law enforcement and detention. And proof of that is that they were second on this list, even though our week comes up before theirs. So I just want to point that out. But hopefully the chief and his team are still here. But I do recognize, or thank you for recognizing the hardworking men and women of the sheriff's office that work in our detention facility. So it takes a team to reduce crime over 50%, which they have done. And part of that team is our detention team that really no one sees. Well, no one wants to see, let me put it that way, unless you pretty much get arrested or an event like this. And but you do have an award-winning state-accredited law enforcement detention facility. And they've been recognized by the American Jail Association for their innovations that we do in the jail, because we understand that most of the inmates that we have, and we average 275 to 300 per night in the jail, are going to come back into our community. And so if we can give them a helping hand to turn their life around and become productive citizens, that's our goal. Some are obviously going to go out to a state prison or correctional facility, but most of county jail inmates come back into our community. And so Chief Ingert is here representing that division. But I also want to highlight Deputy Evans. She's here to represent both the sworn and professional support that work in the jail. And they just do an amazing team. You know, they have to keep a lid on the inmates, okay, because they don't want to be there, okay, and to make sure they don't hurt each other, they don't escape, and they don't hurt detention deputies. At the same time, they have to feed them, clothe them, medical care, and the list goes on. And it's amazing what this team does. And I've job shadowed them in almost every different position. I think I'm there this week or next week in the control room. But They just do an amazing job. So I'm going to ask Chief Ingert if he would like to add anything.
Well, I won't add much. I do echo the sheriff's appreciation. Thank you very much for recognizing the staff that work behind the walls of the Flagler County Inmate Detention Facility. It's a thankless job. It's a difficult job at times, but it can be also very rewarding. And this team has been recognized 2 consecutive years by national organizations for their innovation and the differences that they make in individual lives that return inmates that return back into our community. And ultimately, that's where they get their sense of satisfaction. You know, they're not seen very often, but the impact that they have on inmates returning back into the facility is very rewarding. So thank you very much for your recognition, and we'll go on to go back behind the wall.
So there is one thing, 2 things actually I forgot to mention on awards. In the next few months, actually the medical side of the detention facility should receive its national accreditation, which is a huge milestone and very difficult to get. And then I also want to mention that it is the detention team that is the reigning champ 3 years in a row for the chili cook-off between the fire department and the sheriff's office. Now, my sources tell me, you know, because the sheriff should know what's going on in intel, that fire departments are ganging up on us this year. It's going to now be between Flagler County, Flagler Beach, and Palm Coast to gang up on us. So, Chief, you got your work cut out for you.
And I don't know if this gentleman was introduced, so.
Yep, Commander Brian Pasquale is one of the commanders in our detention facility. Brian, would you like to say anything? Put you on the spot here.
I mean, everyone has pretty much said everything already, but everyone that works back there does a good job. They're hard workers. A lot of times it's not seen, but what we see in the community is we interact with people who were incarcerated at some point for possibly making a mistake, their relationship that they have back with us. And countless amount of times people say thank you. And those are the things you don't really see or hear sometimes.
Right.
So thank you.
Commissioners, yes.
Hey, a couple quick questions to let you brag a little bit. How many beds in the facility, and what's the difference between a prisoner going to your facility or going to a state facility? And what do you think the return rate is on your inmates?
So I can tell you design capacity is 404. I can tell you that Chief Ingert said there's no way we can sleep 404 in there. The only way we could sleep that is with what's known as sleds, which are plastic, look like a sled on the floor. So technically it's 404, but when we start pushing 300, it's pretty tight in the jail. And then
Difference between coming to your jail and going to a state facility?
well, I will tell you, I've toured some of the state facilities, and while there are very many hardworking men and women that work in the state, the difference is that our facility is clean, it's modern, has air conditioning. A lot of state facilities do not. And we know the programs that they get in our facility, whether it's GED, whether it's addiction management, anger management, with a great partnership with Flagler Technical College to provide actually a food manager's license, and the list goes on and on, EVOT, electrical, plumbing, and the list goes on to try to help them be successful. And we couldn't do that without our community partners. I want to point that out. Some of those partners come from churches like Santa Maria del Mar that come in and help the inmates get a duplicate copy of their birth certificate or Social Security card so they can be gainfully employed when they leave. So it's a lot of community partners too. As far as the recidivism rate, I'm going to let Chief Ingert answer that because he probably has the most current data. But I can tell you the ones that run through our SMART program have a very, well, I'll let Chief Ingert explain that between the state recidivism and ours.
Well, recidivism in a county jail is very difficult to monitor because we deal with individuals who are in treatment court that you saw with Judge Perkins. And so oftentimes they come back in the door, but they come back in because they're a sanction. It's not a new arrest. So it kind of gets a little convoluted as far as, actual crime being occurring and rearresting happening. But nationally, the recidivism rate in a state facility across the country is north of 70%, unfortunately. We've had some significant success with our treatment program. As of January, we had graduated 174, and as of January, we had 101 of those had not reoffended and had not relapsed. So they were in successful recovery for a period of a year and a half at that point. So that's a 68% rate of return on that investment of that program. And I can tell you that residential recovery systems, if they're producing 20% success rates, they're doing cartwheels. It's a very difficult field. So we're very proud of the achievements that we've made in that regard. It's early yet. It was only after a year and a half, but still, in that year and a half of those 101, there was 65 of those had been in the longest period of recovery since they were in their teens. So largely most of the majority of their life. So they're well positioned to be successful, and hopefully they will continue to do so.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Sullivan.
As long as we're asking. One thing that always amazes me is you have a whole different kind of people, criminals who come in and had to be retained. Some of them are really bad guys, and then other people like me, they might be 80 years old and just in there the first time. So who takes care of like how you separate people so that you don't have the really bad guys with an old guy or something like that? I never. Sorry to ask the question, but I just thinking about that.
That's a great question, and there is guidance under Florida state law, but we have a classification system to ensure that occurs. What we have noticed is, and actually, as part of my thesis way back in 1991, I talked about the future needs of law enforcement. I talked about the geriatric inmate. The geriatric gets arrested for shoplifting, and the uniqueness that and the impact that it has in a jail facility. So we have a small medical ward, very small, so frankly it's too small. And so we actually have hospital beds in there for those that need that, and wheelchair, and that's why it's important that our medical side is accredited, in my opinion, because we are seeing more. We have an individual currently in the jail right now that was found incompetent to stand trial because of his deteriorating mind through Alzheimer's, I think, or dementia. And he'll never go to trial. And so what do you do with that, right? And he committed a homicide, and that's still an active case. And so that's the kind of stuff that we're having to deal with. And there are people that have significant mental health issues in the jail. We have a partnership and a contract with Epic. And by the way, all these programs that we're doing in the jail are all grant funded. So no local tax dollar is directly going there. I mean, we all pay the federal government or the state, but we're bringing it back. But they have some pretty significant mental health issues that we have to deal with in the jail. And that's why it's important to have these partnerships. And as they get older, it tends to, have more of those. So, and we'll see as a community with an older population than the state average, we will continue to see more of that. It's a good question.
Commissioner O'Brien? Two things. One, from a leadership standpoint, Sheriff, I remember you and I got elected around the same time. And the only time I was ever in that facility was as your guest on a tour. I remember walking through, and you told me, you said, I have challenges here. I have things, we got to work on. And to your credit, that's what we've done. That's what you've done over the last 8 years, in terms of the programmatic changes, the community partnerships. And also, I remember reading about when you hired Chief Ingert, and I was reading his bio, I thought, he comes from, upstate New York and all of your credentials and everything. I thought, why would he want to come here? He seems, like this is maybe, not as much of a challenge as what he left. But You've done an amazing job here, and I hear about it all the time on the Public Safety Coordinating Council when we meet and talk about these things. And again, the community doesn't know these things, so I'm glad we have a chance to really point them out. And thank you for both of you gentlemen for your leadership.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
And the only thing I'll add is, it was in the paper, but talk a little bit about the services, like when you have a student that's in the jail and how you worked with a student.
Right. So they have to be age 18 and above to be in our facility. Prior to that, they're in a juvenile detention facility. The case that you're referring to is a very unique case, and Chief Ingert worked very hard with community partners and this inmate's mother to make sure that he could continue his education while in the jail. And volunteers also helped with that, and Flagler Technical College did that, and frankly, the tax collector helped it with that because we had a whole hang up because he turned 18 in a juvenile detention facility and couldn't get a state of Florida ID card. Well, you have to have the state of Florida ID card to be able to take the GED exam. And so we were able to work that out. But I think that just shows you how involved this team is in trying to improve inmate outcomes in their life. And so this was a very customized plan for this individual. But not only did it need to be done for this particular inmate, but it makes, if you have a good plan together for somebody that could be very potentially difficult to deal with, then it makes the life and safety of the jail and the employees better for everyone. So you're giving them education, but you're not having the issues that you could have when you combine all his medical history together.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we did the motion, right? Everything's done?
No.
No? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve May 6th, pardon me, May 6th through, pardon me, May 5th through 11th, 2024 as National Correctional Officers and Employees Week.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. All right, picture time.
Thank you.
Glad to get you in there. Applause from the firefighters.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's cool. Give him a second to. All right, our next proclamation is for Nurses Week, May 6th through 12th, 2024, requested by Josh Gorin, the Advent Health Manager and Government Advocacy. Is anybody here from Advent Health? I know I am going this week to speak and read the proclamation at the hospital for the nurses, but let me go ahead and read this. This is a proclamation of Flagler County Board of County Commissioners recognizing the month of May 6th through 12th, 2024 as Nurses Week in Flagler County. Whereas there are more than 3,700 registered nurses across the 7 Advent Health hospitals in the East Florida Division, and whereas nurses play a crucial role in our community, triaging patients who come into the emergency department, treating patients after surgeries, caring for new moms and infants, and tending to the elderly and the critically ill. And whereas nurses act as the healers of our neighborhoods, providing care for everything from burns to broken bones, asthma to arthritis, diabetes to dementia, and cancers to the common cold. And whereas nurses change lives by caring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and deliver high-quality, safe patient care. And whereas the Florida Hospital Association estimates there could be a shortfall of 60,000 nurses by 2035. And whereas the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners recognizes the important role of all nurses, the immeasurable value they add to our community, and the recruitment and retention of talented nurses has never been more important. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby recognize the week of May 6th through 12th, 2024 as Nurses Week in Flagler County, and urge all citizens to recognize the significant contributions of nurses, the positive impact they have on the lives of those in their care, and ask all residents to join us in honoring the registered nurses who care for our community every day. Adopted this 6th day of May 2024, attested by our Clerk of Court, Tom Bexley, and signed by myself as Chair of the Board. And
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes,
move that we approve May 6th through 12th as Nurses Week.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, second by Commissioner Sullivan. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And we'll carry this to. Sure. Yeah, we'll get extra copies, and I'll keep this and make that presentation later this week. All right, and our final proclamation, timed to coordinate with our first presentation as well, but our fifth proclamation is National Travel and Tourism Week, May 19th through 25th, 2024, requested by Amy Lukasik, our Tourism Director, and read by our past Tourism Council Chair, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And last but not least, by far, a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating the week of May 19th through 25, 2024 as National Travel and Tourism Week in Flagler County. Whereas the travel industry is a consistent driver of Flagler County's economy, workforce, and quality of life, and whereas travel is an economic powerhouse for every state and destination across the country, with an economic output of $2.8 trillion, supporting 15 million American jobs, and whereas travel spending supports vibrant and safe communities in Florida and Flagler County and across the United States by generating $89 billion in state and local tax revenue in 2023 to help support essential services such as education, emergency response, public safety, and more. And whereas hospitality and tourism are Florida's #1 industry, the economic engine of our state, a top employer and a source of revenue that benefits communities across Florida, and whereas tourism puts more than 2 million Floridians to work in hotels, restaurants, attractions, and other tourism-relevant businesses. And whereas travel and tourism significantly affect the economy of Flagler County, supporting nearly 20% of total jobs, generating $413 million in local gross sales tax and $600 million in direct spending in local accommodations, restaurants, and attractions. And whereas the fiscal year 2023, local sales in accommodations saw a 4% increase, bringing in over $4.5 million in bed tax revenue. And whereas travel is a pillar of economic growth, creating jobs at a faster rate than other sectors. And whereas travel is an essential industry, and we must continue to communicate that growing travel leads to economic growth, benefits businesses, fosters mutual understanding, and connects the nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners to proclaim May 19th through 25, 2024 as National Travel and Tourism Week in Flagler County, and urge the citizens to join me in recognizing the critical role and significant contribution that tourism brings to Flagler County. Adopted this 6th day of May 2024, attested Tom Bexley, Clerk of Court, and signed by our Chairman, Commissioner Dance. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve this proclamation for National Travel and Tourism Week.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sullivan, seconded by Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, congratulations, and welcome.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. My name's Amy Lukasik, Tourism Development Director, and nothing like following correction officers, nurses, drug court. So thank you for your support with this proclamation. I would like to introduce a portion of our small but mighty team. I have Christina Hutzel here. She's our administrative assistant. And Deborah Morgan, she's our destination development and community engagement manager. Not with us today. We also have on staff Courtney Brokaw. She's our marketing manager. She's out on vacation. And James Fisk, he's our visitor service liaison over at the Flagler Beach Museum, and he had a family medical situation that he's tending to this morning. So with that, I would like to thank you, but also, part of this proclamation, the purpose is not only to recognize the industry, but I say it year after year, really, it's our frontline workers that greet our visitors each and every day in our accommodations, book the attractions, help them in the state parks, eat at our restaurants. And those businesses have had their own challenges, not just through COVID, but even post-COVID with the workforce, keeping workforce, cost of goods. So they've had a lot of challenges, and we just continue to keep that in mind for our local small businesses. We're here to support them, and we ask that you continue to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, thank you for your team. I know your mighty team does a lot of work, so we appreciate that. Anybody else?
Well, it's
Oh,
important what
absolutely.
you do, because I talked to a couple owners just last week, as a matter of fact, and they're having trouble this time of year. Which normally they get a bunch of high school kids to come work, and they're not getting them this year. So it's going to be a tough summer maybe for some of these restaurants. So anything we can do to go to the restaurants and advertise the restaurants, and that's all down in Flagler Beach.
Yep.
So, but thank you for what you do. It's so important. Thank you.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what's going on in Flagler Beach with the pier and beach restoration is going to really be difficult for the businesses over there for a while. So it is critical that we keep pushing and getting the word out there. Lots of beaches to go to and things like that, as we've been discussing locally. So it is a critical time, again, coming up for the next year and a half or so.
Continual recognition of how important the whole tourism industry is to our local economy. And it's aside from government and the medical field, it's the largest employer, I'm sure. So important.
Great. Come on up for a picture. And you get to stay up because your presentation is next for annual tourism update.
Thank you,
Yes.
Chair.
Go
Commissioners.
slide right into that.
Yes, thank you. Amy Lukasik, Director of Tourism. All right, my first couple slides is really just overall education of our department for those who may be listening in and of who we are and what we do. We are official department under the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners, and we function as the official destination and tourism marketing organization for Flagler County. We operate under the consumer name of Palm Coast and the Flagler Beaches, and we have a staff of 5.5 employees. And pretty much this is what sums up what we do day in and day out. We significantly contribute to the economy of Flagler County, provide a variety of local jobs, both direct and indirect. We promote Flagler County as a first-class destination and enhance the quality of life for our residents. And how it works, just so that the public knows, all of the expenditures that come from our department are 100% collected by a bed tax, which is operated under a Florida statute, and it's known as the bed tax, or TDT. And we collect in our county 5%, and that's imposed on all accommodations that are rented under 6 months. So all hotels, the resort, campgrounds, vacation rentals. And those revenues are then separated into three funds. We have 60% of our revenue goes to the operation of our office and the advertising and promotion. 20% goes to beach restoration projects and 20% under capital improvements. Under that Florida statute, we also operate with a 9-member Tourism Development Council, where 6 of those representatives are from the industry and 3 are elected officials. 1 is our county chair, and the other one is from the largest municipality, and then the other one is from Flagler Beach. This is the mission of our department, is to elevate Flagler County as a viable and sustainable place to live, work, and visit. Our vision is to connect people with rewarding experiences that empower and inspire them to make a positive contribution back within their own communities. So we want people, when they come here, to be very inspired by what they learn, what they see, what they feel, the experiences, and then take that back to their community and contribute in that fashion. Our values is integrity, passion, teamwork, community, transparency, inclusivity, and sustainability. And in 2023, we welcomed approximately 975,900 visitors. And so how did we do last year? So this is total accommodation sales. We get these numbers from our local tax collector. We generated a little over 96 million in revenue for accommodation sales, and that was an increase of 8%. And here's a breakdown of our tourism development tax history. So when you take that 96 million and you take out all of the accommodations that were tax exempt, we collected a little over $4.5 million. And that was an increase of 3.5%. And you can see our numbers have been steadily rising, and that's pretty impressive, because if you think about it, we have not added a hotel to our community since 2008, which was the Hilton Garden Inn. So, I mean, historically, you gain more revenue because you're adding hotels and you're adding more rooms, but that's not the case here. So where this increase has occurred is due to an increase in vacation rentals and in the average daily rate that hotels, that everyone is charging. And a few slides later, I show you what that is. This is the tourism development tax history, just taken into a bar graph. We started back in 2005 that we were able to track back, so you can see the progression there. This is from our local tax collectors. They provide this to us every month. So we're able to see the different property types and maybe where a large portion is being generated, or maybe where a certain product type may need help. So for last year, 37% of the bed tax revenue came from the chain hotels and the resort. And this kind of starts diving into that average daily rate and what the hotels look like for 2023. So we have a report called the Smith Travel Report, and this is what the hoteliers live and breathe and die by. So we just take out the most important data points that they look at. So when you look at occupancy for 2023, they were almost at 60%, and obviously the year prior was 62%, but even 60% is very high for us. So we're pretty proud of that. And then you take the same numbers, but this is more for the vacation rental. So we have another report that has any Airbnbs and VRBOs. So what these two reports do not capture, that's missing, is the small motel mom and pops and campgrounds. Everything else is captured in these data reports. So for the vacation rentals, they were at 56% occupancy in 2023, and then last year was 59%. That was a dip of 4%. And mainly that's because more vacation rentals came online, so there was more competition for them. Okay, so going back to the report, the Smith Travel for hotels and resort, this is for average daily rate. And this is what I was talking about, what has helped contributed to that increase in revenue. So this year, or 2023, the average daily rate to stay in a chain hotel and the resort was $184, and the year prior, $174. So you can see that even though occupancy was down for the hotels and resorts, that average daily rate climbed about $10. So that was an increase of 6%. And then the Airbnb vacation rental, they were the opposite again because there were more online, more competition. So they were at $326 a night, an average, and the year prior, $349. And this is probably the most important data point for a hotelier. It's called the RevPAR, the revenue per available room. So what this tells them is how much revenue they made per available room, exactly what it says. So in the hotels and resorts, they made $109.94 on average, and last year was $108. So that was a 1.4% increase. And then Airbnb, VRBOs, theirs was $184 in the year prior, $205. So they were down 10%. All right, now we're going to talk about the impact of tourism in our job.
Okay, Amy, may I
Yes,
interrupt
sir.
for a second? Maybe it was in one of your prior slides. Do you have a number or know roughly what the capacity is of the vacation rental side of it? In other words, how much of it is being used and how much is still available?
Yes, we have each month that Airbnb report shows us how many listings were made available and then how many were occupied. And the tax collector in this slide here kind of shows that. So if we just go to the top line where it says single family potential, so out of the whole year, there was a potential of 221,352 rentals available, and then the actual was 89,000. So they ran about a 40% occupancy.
So that 221,000, that's pretty much the whole single-family housing stock in the county.
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously not all of that's available to rent. Yeah. What I'm trying to understand is what really hit me was when you said we haven't had a new hotel built since 2008. And obviously we have one coming out of the ground now in Flagler Beach. But if you think about our county, it's almost, I think, impossible to have another resort style hotel built anywhere in the county just because the way we're positioned and the land ownership and the way our beaches are public and all of that. So I get that part. So I'm trying to think as we grow, where's the availability occupancy going to come from? Is it going to come from the continuance of conversion of single family residences and those kind of properties to Airbnb or vacation rental? I mean, obviously when Palm Coast goes west, that'll change the picture somewhat. But
yes,
it's just interesting to see the challenges that we have on the hotel motel side.
Yeah, there's some more opportunity on 100, and as well as you said, long term on the western expansion. If the sports complex moves forward, that will definitely generate a few hotels. Flagler Beach, although not for a large property, they do have some opportunity to those smaller ones that maybe only have 10 to 15 rooms. If someone comes in and wants to, basically redevelop it, there is opportunity to add more rooms if they go up 2 stories. So there's a little bit of opportunity in Flagler Beach, but most significantly would be on 100 or the western expansion.
100, yeah, seems that would be.
Yes.
Remember at our chamber luncheon last Thursday, they announced that they're building the 200-room hotel over there. They're actually going to start it before the end of the year. So in addition to Margaritaville, there'll be a brand new 200-room hotel on the beach.
It's the lodge. Yeah, it's what's, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
But they're adding rooms. Yeah. they'll
200
add
more
rooms.
rooms.
Okay, so for jobs, you can see in the dash little blocks, what I do is I call this the tourism cluster, and I take industries that still touch a tourist, but then I also have it separated. So you can see in 2023, or at least the latest reporting we have from the state, which is Q3, we're almost at about 5,000 tourism jobs within the tourism cluster. So that includes accommodations and food service, arts, entertainment, and recreation. And then that breaks down to a percentage. So for Q3, we were at 18%. So that 5,000 is 18% of the total workforce in the tourism cluster in our county. And we've hovered right around that amount for probably a good year now. And also what I like to do, just because we're part of Northeast Florida, and I just like to monitor where our other counties sit. We also do the same tracking for those counties in Northeast Florida. So there's our 18%, and we're right behind Nassau and St. John's in tourism workforce. And this is important for a later slide. All right, local sales tax, the latest numbers again from 2023, 445 million in gross sales tax was derived from that tourism cluster. And that's about 14%. And again, we break that down, or we compare ourselves with the counties. Now, even though we're the little bars down there, the fourth one in, Duval, they had the highest, obviously, but their workforce doesn't represent that. So I just thought that was another interesting data point. And this is the number, again, translated to a percentage. So 14.5% of our gross sales tax is derived from the tourism cluster in 2023. And this time, that's Nassau leads the way with 20%. And St. John's, 17. But then you look down at Duval, even though they had the highest in gross sales tax from the tourism, that's really only 5.5%, 5.6%. And the next couple of slides, I just wanted to give you an update on our strategic plan that was adopted right before COVID. So I wanted to give you an update on kind of what's left and then where we're going to go from here. So we were charged with 3 pillars: destination development, the visitor experience, and organizational excellence. And without going into each one, you can kind of see each one of those pillars, the objectives, and what we've been able to accomplish under each one of those. I'd say we're about 75 to 80% there, and that's probably where we're going to end it, because some of the factors, like I said, were pre-COVID that are no longer applicable. Some of the other goals have to do with working and coordinating with other agencies, and maybe their direction has changed, or things have just taken different shape or gone in a different direction. So from here, where we're going to move forward is hopefully end of summer, we will be looking to do an RFP for a tourism master plan, which will help guide us then to creating that future of tourism, and where are those tourism assets and product development going to be in our community. We know we need to put people further out west and spread them out more, so we're going to have a very focused approach to that. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any other questions?
Well, the one thing that we're hearing because of the Flagler Beach situation and so on, is to spread, we came up with the 6 secret beaches in Flagler County, and making sure the word's getting out to everybody that there are other beaches besides downtown Flagler Beach where they can go to the beach in the county, and I think that's even more important.
Thank you
what's
for
coming in
bringing,
next year.
yes, thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner. So most recently, we signed on with an advertising agency, and we have tasked them that we want to have some new advertising campaigns. And one of them is focusing on beaches to the north. So what we intend on doing is promoting the county beaches. So for any recreational beach activity, we're either going to promote, we did some scouting last week up at River to Sea, Bay Drive Park, Barn Park. And then for Flagler Beach, to bring, to circle back to what you brought up before about the businesses, what we're focusing on in Flagler Beach is that ocean view dining, the restaurants. So we're not necessarily promoting beach recreation in Flagler Beach because we know that's a challenge. Plus, with all the projects, we are staying focused on ocean view dining, go to these restaurants, help them during these times of construction and projects. So that's where our focus will be, and then also ecotourism. So we did some scouting. We went to the new bridge, so there'll be a whole campaign featuring the new pedestrian bridge as well. Biking, the trails, kayaking.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, Amy, I talked to A1A Pride about this, but it always seems to me that when someone comes over the 100 bridge into Flagler Beach and they come to that T at A1A, there should be a sign that says Varn Park, half a mile, 16th Street or Malacompra Park. The beaches, just name the beaches and how close they are going north.
Right.
Just so as you came across, they go, oh, there's more than just Flagler Beach. I've always thought that would be a much prettier sign than what we have there now with the big yellow squares saying, don't go through this, it'll be on the beach.
Right.
But I always thought that would be a good idea, and they're thinking about it, coming to you or somebody with
If,
that idea.
If Flagler Beach is on board, maybe that's when you guys have the intergovernmental meetings, that could be an item to see if that can
Yeah.
help drive
Kind of
people.
make people turn left.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Good presentation, by the way. Thanks.
I just want to add that thank you for the efforts on Trails Day. I think it's a
Fun.
good start. It was a lot of fun. And also on the master planning, will we look at accessibility issues for getting to the beach for our citizens that have some disabilities? I know it's hard with the steep incline to the dunes currently, but part of that signage and message could be where we have accessible
Right.
points to the beach as well.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah, and to your point, I learned something this last week about that with talking to residents that, I kind of think of handicap accessibility, into my mind, I just think of a ramp. And it's been called to my attention that really just less steep stairs or nice handrails or things like that to make it easier for someone who just has a little trouble walking, would make a difference too. And so I've sent that to Ms. Petito, that maybe we could look at some other ways to make it more accessible to somebody that just can't walk real well. Thank you.
And I was out at Bay Drive Park last week, and it's beautiful, and it has that really nice handicap ramp. So we will definitely be pushing that park specifically for ADA. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Great report. Send our thanks to the whole team. All right, our final presentation is our Finance Department update. Mr. Brower, welcome again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John Brower, Financial Services. Here to give you an overview of the department. The department's made up of, we have 15 people here. I'm the administration on the top there, but we have 5 folks in the Office of Management and Budget and 9 in the Office of Procurement and Contracts. The two work hand in hand, back and forth. It's a teamwork approach. Many of us are on the third floor of this building. And really, we have the mantra of facilitate the yes. I think both offices have a natural issue of having to say no sometimes, or the departments do a bunch of work and they finally get to us and we're like, well, we can't do it that way. So instead of just saying that and having them go back, we work with them to get to the yes, to get to where they can do what they need to do and get the job done they need to get done. So what's it take to be in financial services? It takes high intelligence, highly capable people with high flexibility. Very rarely do you come to work saying you're going to do A, B, and C, and you get to do A, B, and C. A lot of times D, E, and F show up, and many times you don't even get to your original work that you were going to do. You have to be strong and confident in yourself and what you know. And the reason is you work with all levels of the organization, including administration and with the board. And it really goes to your intestinal fortitude that you have to, it's hard sometimes to talk with the board members or commissioners or administration when you're an analyst. So it takes something inside you to be able to do that and have that confidence. Obviously, we have the team approach mentioned earlier and really a service focus. We're a service department. We have internal and external customers. And as mentioned, have to add value. We get invited to a lot of meetings for subjects all across the county and what the county is doing as their business. We have to be aware of that, be functional at those things and knowledge-wise, and be able to be value added to these meetings. So the folks that we have now, we have a nice mix of people. We have some that are just come out of college, just starting their careers. We have others with years of experience, both in the public and private sector. We have some military folks. We have people with master's degrees and many of the professional certifications that are offered in the state and nationally. Constantly, the big thing that I like and what we have to do is that they're constantly working to become better, to know more, to add more knowledge and abilities to themselves so they're better for the county and to our citizens. We have several right now working on the next degree, next highest level degrees, working on their professional certifications. One has a test coming up in another week and a half, I think. And then we have the county leadership programs that are going on, and we have 5 people, 5 of our 15 right now in those programs. We would love to be more, but there's limited capacity. So we'll get the others in there eventually. So the Office of Procurement and Contracts, as the name says, we do procurement and we do contracts. The formal procurement and the general purchasing, POs, P cards, those type of things, RFPs, those are all the things that we're doing on the procurement side. One thing I want to mention is when I got here 4.5 years ago, it was the purchasing department or division, and it was a lot of process-oriented type things. Well, as we're growing as a county, we're going to be required to do a lot more things than just the procurement types or purchasing type stuff. So we've been changing things, implementing things, not working, pulling back on it, implementing things that's working, continue. One of those things is the contract compliance. We have 2 people or 2 FTEs in there now. The idea is to help the departments with monitoring their contracts and 6 months before a contract gets or goes to expired, contact them. Hey, are they doing a good job? We have an extension here. We can extend the contracts, or they're not doing a good job, or we want to go out to bid, whatever, and we can start that process earlier than we have been in the past. We want to help the departments with their contracts in terms of we're going to create templates so it's easier for them to create and just add like a scope of services or whatever. We want to add all performance measures into contracts. We want to help with that. We want to make it very clear within the contracts what's expected of the vendors so that it's clear to them, which is helpful to them, clear to us, and we'll hold them to that. And you know, managing assistance is we have one of those FTEs would be primarily in the field person, checking on landscaping and those kind of things. And then another person would be mostly in-house, in an office, taking vendor complaints and dealing with the vendors one-on-one more so. We also do the inventory management and surplus management in the warehouse down by fleet. Everyone in the Office of Procurement and Contracts is working very hard to adjust. A lot of things are coming with the new ERP system, financial system, as we're growing. And so they're working, I would say, extra hard than they would normally work because of all this extra stuff that they're doing to just to keep up. Principles, goals of public procurement, obviously, is a transparent and fair system. Always want to have efficiency and in operations, cost minimization. One of the things we always have to do and be wary of are the laws that we have to apply. WBE, Women in Business Enterprises, gets points added to RFPs, that type of thing. One of my favorites is a local vendor preference. I like the idea of citizens' money coming into us and us putting it back into our own local economy here with vendors here. It's important with any position actually is to have valuable relationships with vendors and people around us, the state and federal partners. And of course, we want to make sure we follow all the laws and things.
Quick
Yes, sir.
question on that. At one point on the local vendor preference, we were talking up here, we were talking about some kind of education process for local vendors to learn how to actually apply for answer RFPs, because we went out. It came up when a guy tried to apply for an RFP and it was miserably poor. You know, it wasn't even considered because it was so bad. But so is that gone anywhere, or is that something you're going to do, or?
Well, we don't have anything right now like that. We always point to people to the website and stuff to get what they need, but that's a good idea. If people are having, it is, you know, there's a lot of work involved for someone who has their own business wanting to get county business, because we do ask for a lot of different things. So definitely look into doing something like that.
Yeah, this gentleman is, you know, like a one-man operation.
Right.
And he just responded like he thought all he had to do here, I'll do it for this amount.
Right. And he's probably just,
And everybody just went,
yeah.
not responsive, you know,
Yep.
so he just didn't know.
Well, we'll definitely look into that, because if there's one, there's probably many others.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we want the
thank you.
best.
There's high dollars, especially in the RFQ process. And from some consultants, just teams dedicated to that.
Right.
So small businesses are at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
For
Right.
sure in that process. And
Right. Especially here in Flagler County, we're a smaller county.
right.
Although we're growing rapidly, there's a lot of those smaller type businesses.
Right. Thank you.
Some numbers for you for fiscal year 2023. We've been part of negotiating 45 formal contracts. We do expect that to increase dramatically as we start doing things more for ourselves, as opposed to piggybacking other people's contracts. So we can have in the contracts what we want to have in there, as opposed to just accepting somebody else's. So we'll be increasing that. Purchasing card transactions, about 7,500 of those last fiscal year, 14,000 invoices, and 783 purchase orders that are created. Warehouse operations, we have one person down there that does controlling that area down by the fleet area. Over 2,000 items, which includes a bunch of car auto parts for fleet, janitorial, electrical, safety products, those type of things. Again, one person that is takes the deliveries, stocks the shelves, hands them out, does the paperwork and things to the extent that he can. And then when we have to worry about the controls in place to make sure one person's not doing it all, it's other people, taking other people from their regular job to help with that. Operations for 2023 just says what we do per week. Basically, it's 37 days or 37 transactions per day, almost 100 items that are part of those transactions a day. So it's constant, it's a all-day thing for him just to issue out things, let alone accept deliveries and those types of things. Just interesting numbers. We pumped almost 450,000 gallons of unleaded fuel and climbing up to almost 100,000 gallons of diesel fuel. The asset and surplus management, again, is one person there is down there with the warehouse, and he does help out a lot. He's one of the ones that helps out on the inventory side, but his primary job is to deal with the surplus. We get, for our purposes today, we have two different types of assets. We'll just call them non-fixed assets and fixed assets. They both have a useful life of a year or more, or over a year, I should say, more than one reporting period. And one's under 5,000, one's 5,000 and above. Non-fixed assets basically dealt with at the department level, and the fixed assets, because of their dollar amount, they get extra scrutiny. They get obviously we track them just like we do the non-fixed, but we also add an asset tag. All fixed assets need to come to the board to declare surplus, and once they're declared surplus, it's determined whether to dispose of them if there's no value to them, or if there's value above what it would take to sell it, we would put it on an auction site, approved auction site, and everything's sold as is. Over $500,000 of revenue back in FY23.
Did you sell a helicopter?
The helicopter was like a trade-in
Okay.
kind of deal. Yeah. Yeah, I know that was a big deal with the surplus, but yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, Office of Management and Budget. Obviously, management and budget is involved. Back, a few years ago, they did we did the budget monitoring, budget amending, those type of things that we have to do. It's very important to do all throughout the year. What we added with the Office of Management and Budget is the management side of things. Some of them we were kind of already doing, but others not. So the financial management, the policy management, reporting and more in-depth analysis, and internal consultants is a term I like to use. And that's why I'll explain it more in another slide or two. With the value and the people that we have in financial services and OMB, we need to utilize that talent. So as mentioned, OMB does budget stuff, creation, monitoring, but we also do county debt, capital improvement program, grants, administration support and reporting. The on-the-ground people are in the departments. They do that side of things. Operational support for the departments. Special projects, which kind of like a catch-all, but those are increasing as well. And then again, the internal resource for assisting administration and our departments. Going on to the next slide, the internal consultants. We have, as I mentioned earlier, highly educated, experienced people within financial services, and to the extent that we can possibly use that and incorporate that into what we do as a county and our business, I think it's important to do so. I think it's better for the county, better for the citizens, the more they're involved. So most of the stuff that we do is internal and you never see, but the one deliverable you guys did see was what I call the book. I call the book, which compared what we do to other counties in the state. We created peer counties based on variables that we thought were the most important. At the end, we broke out the key takeaways and considerations for the board, one of which was to look into what these peer counties in particular already went through, that we're about to go through, and how they dealt with their growth, and exploring the future diversification of county revenues. County budget book, I mentioned this earlier with the budget award, but again, it's a financial plan. The book is not just a book filled with numbers and budget. It is a financial plan, policy document. What's important is what gets funded. So, and the board has been very good with saying they have something that's important to them, their direction, and to fund that to the extent, because what you fund is what's important to you guys. Communication tool, we try to, it's a big book, but we break it down to as easy a read as we possibly can. Again, the award that we mentioned earlier, 15 straight years with the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Last year, we had special recognition for capital. This year, special recognition for strategic goals and strategies, and also a certificate for budget preparation. The county debt rating, about a month ago, a little less than a month ago, the S&P Global upgraded the county's debt rating from AA to AA+. It's a culmination of weeks and weeks of work, going back and forth with them, with our financial advisor, with folks throughout the county, Jonathan Lord and Michael Lagacy, and just folks like that IT with their cybersecurity stuff. All Adam, too, I mentioned Adam, all to get this information together so that they see what we're doing here and what's important to us and how we're taking care of the people's money. So the rest of the bullet points there are just little snippets, I guess, out of the report, talking about our budgeting practices, our long-term planning practices, and very strong debt and liability profile, good management practices, including conservative budgeting, regular budget monitoring, robust long-term financial and capital planning, target to maintain our 3 months. We've heard that many, many times in this room, trying to get to 3 months of operating for cash flow purposes and emergencies. Very strong debt and liability profile, strong budgetary performance based on conservative budgeting practices, good management practices, including the budget monitoring and long-term planning. So those are all good things. And S&P Global is a global corporation that has recognized the good things that we're doing down here. AA+ rating is going to help us save money, obviously. We're less of a risk, considered less of a risk. So among many other things, it'll save us money on interest.
Question on that.
Yes, sir.
What's our goal for a credit rating? Is this it, AA+, or what's our long
the one
range
after this
objective?
is AAA, and that's the highest it can go. So I would say that's my goal.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So challenges moving forward, these are not specific to financial services. A lot of these are for other people in the county, but we understand that the county's growing fast, and more people, more work, more services they demand, more money that we receive, more scrutiny, more work. The small county processes that we used, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, are no longer effective. So we have to transition into what is effective. How are we
Could I
going
just
to?
ask on that one? That means like better computers or better software systems, or what does that, what would be an example of a process that you're using, but you can't use anymore because we have more money?
I think one of the things we're incorporating, which is the ERP system. Another thing is getting away from, simple things like keeping a list of contracts on a website, or not a website, but a Excel spreadsheet that only one or two people have access to, and all the contracts aren't there. So getting software to put those contracts in so other people can have access to it as well. Things like that. Also, obviously, people. The folks in financial services, I know, because they've done it, they will just work, and you could pile on the things on their back and they will keep on working until they just can't do it anymore. So at some point, that's going to have to be addressed. Again, more people, more work, right? Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman?
it just,
It's the same,
I mean,
and I would say,
we can't add things up with a pencil and paper and a.
yeah, and I would say it's not financial services only. It's probably every, this can go on everybody's slide, every department slide, something very similar to these. But it's just, it's a reality. We're growing, people want more services, and we need the resources to address those things. Workload can get overwhelming very fast. I mentioned that. I think understanding that it's easy to not think of, to the commissioner's point, that we do things in the background. You don't hear about it because we're doing a good job, but it's still stuff that we're doing that's taking up valuable time. And it's important that folks understand the rest of the story. So, for example, the CARES Act, we created everything, we created and implemented it, the program in-house. We had the three ways we're going to give out the money. We processed everything with emergency management and financial services, and handing out, I don't even know how many $1,000 checks of the money we received, but all that had to be, those packets had to be created. Affidavits, I guess, were signed, all that kind of thing, just to get out $1,000 that people were coming to help them as soon as we could get that money out on the street. Many other counties hired outside third parties to come in and do that at a cost of 10% of what the amount they received was. We wanted to put that 10% out to our citizens instead of paying some other third party. Hurricanes, a good example. The actual hurricane emergency lasts, a couple, 3 days. Emergency management, the EOC is open. We go there and wait for it to come and pass. And in large part, a lot of people just go back to their normal day-to-day after that. In financial services, the work that follows lasts for years. Working with FEMA and the state, we're still doing things with Dorian. So, 3 days, everyone's okay, it's done, it's over. Well, no, the work really starts for financial services. Market effects, we're competing on a national scale now. We lost a procurement analyst at the time. She was hired by the University of California for a stay-at-home position. So she stayed in California, stayed in Florida, working for University of California, making a lot more money, I assume, California money. Our talent is undeniable and it's highly desired. So people look to us to bring that talent on board for them. We always have to consider what's the cost of turnover. Final slide here. What are we doing to address? Well, a lot of the stuff we're doing has a little to do with money, but we're doing things like increasing knowledge, training of everybody, cross-training, so that one person leaves or one person's busy, another person can step in and take care of that job. We're trying very hard to maintain our our people. And if we have a vacancy, we're working really hard to hire smart, skilled people. And to do that, a lot of them require requests, money that's above what is our minimum. So we're always struggling with that, again, as most, if not every department out there. If we don't have these high-level folks, then that would trickle down into county business very, very quickly. And we certainly don't want that. Things that didn't cost any money, changing the name of the divisions. It's went from the budget office to the Office of Management and Budget, from the purchasing division to the Office of Procurement and Contracts. That's not done to make it sound fancier. It's done to put out there what we expect from our offices and what you can expect from us. It's a part to get ahead of the curve of growing to a larger area and starting that work. Reclassifying positions, some of it was done during our class salary study, from budget analyst to financial analyst to now O&B analyst, purchasing analyst to procurement coordinator, property control agent to fixed asset and property coordinator, and there are others. But the idea is they're getting more and more work to do, more diversified work, and they're earning those reclassifications of their positions. And that's just, the reality of the situation. They're just having to take on more and more. So with that, that's all.
Commissioner O'Brien.
I apologize. The name of our ERP program?
New World, I'm sorry, Munis, Tyler.
Munis, that's right.
Mhm.
So I know we had some challenges in implementation that going back a few years ago. Where would you assess we're at in terms of using that package now? And, I think about it like from my local business, I look at all the money I spend, thousands of dollars I spend every month for our main software package, and I say, yeah, I think we're using maybe 25, 30% of what we're buying.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious of your assessment of where we're at with the Munis program.
Well, I think this was, the third ERP implementation I've been part of. What we did here was wanted to do everything kind of at once. So instead of doing the financial side and just doing that and then adding, wanted to do everything kind of at once when it came to that. There's other HR stuff and stuff aside, but because of that, it slowed down the overall process. But I think we're catching up now. Whenever you throw a bunch of stuff at people, it takes a while for them to adjust. But we're getting there, and we know it's here to stay. So we're going to just keep getting better at it and understand what.
So utilization of that is feeding the transparency numbers and things that you're providing now, which is important and helpful.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, the transparency initiative that county administrator has put in, the software, Socrata, is a piece of software that taps into Munis to pull out the data that you see when we go to that transparency website. So yeah, absolutely.
Do we have anybody on staff that's looking at that with the eye of how we can expand and keep increasing our usage of the program?
I don't know if we have anybody specific, but the power users, as we say, are always looking at things that we can do to add to it, increase the capacity, and we're honestly finding new things all the time that we can do or can't do.
One or two of your last slides talked about things that we're working on or your focus for the future. But if you had to rank one or two of the vulnerabilities that you have as a department and we have as a county from the financial side, can you say what that would be?
Yeah, I think we struggle with finding experienced people in the financial area. It's a highly skilled people, and to pull say, a senior analyst from another county, takes more money. I mean, as opposed to if they were, just living next door and coming over here. So that's difficult. And the city of Palm Coast and Volusia County and all the folks around, they all need the capabilities of those type of people. And we have good people here. So, we work very hard to do what we can to keep them.
Okay.
Mr. Hanson.
Yeah, how about, you didn't mention the relationship with the clerk's office with this new software. How's that working? It was supposed to improve that back and forth.
I think in a lot of ways it did improve it. Just the approval process in general where, we went from paper and stacks of paper and hard signatures to, just clicking a button to process things and get it over there. So it's definitely been a plus.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my question. A few years back, the same things both commissioners were talking about, that connection with the clerk's office with the new software seemed to be a problem that took a while to resolve. And so we're there and.
We're always finding new ways to work with the clerk. They have a lot of stuff that they're doing over there as well. So we've become better and better at communicating and working through our problems.
Great. Again, any opportunity to thank your staff. You do have a good group back there, and I appreciate all the work that they do. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Right, thank you for the report.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we had a full load of proclamations, presentations. We will move to community outreach. This is a 30-minute time allocated for public comment on consent agenda items or topics not on the agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Speakers should approach the podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to the chair. This time I'll open up the floor for public comment. All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais for board member comments on consent items. Is there any comments just on consent?
Yeah, I had one. 7J. That's just a remarkable program. I was astounded by how much we could get done on these houses. We were actually rebuilding 2 houses, for residents that just couldn't afford to take care of that. That just hats off to our department. I mean, that's an incredible amount of work that they're doing on these individual houses to rehabilitate them and get them into living conditions. And it's just remarkable what we can do as a county. So I don't want to pull it, but I just want to bring that out so that everybody knows, the public knows at least what we're doing is just remarkable.
Yeah, the SHIP program is very important.
Very important. Yeah.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Yeah, same thing, comment. 7C, this deal we got going on with Ormond. We were hoping that this could be resolved without us having to have this meeting that we're approving here today. So I was just wondering, is there any chance from our lawyer that it'll kind of be resolved before we actually have the meeting here, but it's getting closer?
We're still working on that. Now we're going back and forth on the final form of the proposed replacement easement, which would confine it to use only for conservation purposes. But we've not finalized that yet, but we're working on it.
Anything could happen up until the 16th, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right. Nothing from Commissioner O'Brien. So at this time, we'll looking for a motion on consent.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. All those in favor signify with aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. General business item 8A, changing street name from Magnolia Lane to Magnolia Lane South within the Plantation Bay Phase 1A Unit 1 subdivision. And this is brought forward by Mr. Adam Mangle, our Growth Management Director, and requested by Taylor Phillips from GIS.
Good morning. Adam Engel, Growth Management Director, and Taylor had got us started on this, had received a couple of comments from both, I think, the U.S. Postal Service and also from our Supervisor of Elections about this conflict. And see the area shown here, there are 9 total lots that would be affected by this, 8 with getting the new address. One of them already had the Magnolia Lane South designation. And then this is how it looked on the plat. And so with this, it's a minor change in that post-directional field, but it is enough to consider it a new address. This will resolve the conflict that exists right now with the village of Pine Run in that same 32174 zip code. And so was a consideration. We had that in here. Hopefully we described it well in the staff report where Pine Run was first. And so we did come second, but the conflict then comes through technology. Now that things have times passed, addresses are what they are. The conflicts before where Postal Service was delivering to people, now they're saying they delivered addresses and that this is something that cannot be overcome. And so with this change, albeit as minor as it seems with the post-directional field, adding the S to it effectively for the south, this will create a second then differentiated street name. With the resolution that you pass, that then will become Magnolia Lane South. We recommend approval. And wait any questions or comments.
Any questions? How does, I know in different counties, what elevates these to, does it take an issue with the Postal Service or somebody that elevates it and says we're getting confusing, even though it's different counties? Is it because it's in the same zip code?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
And we knew about this for several years. There have been over the years we've heard this. Well, we had some maybe an errant medical call, some deliveries that have been made to the wrong address. I think we just now see it with more and more. Maybe again we can blame the pandemic on this, but you had the delivery services. Now you have Amazon that the things that we didn't have before, and now everything's tied to your address, and so we had that conflict and. It's now made this where it's all the more important for us to get it resolved.
All right. Well, very good. I don't have any other questions. All right. It's is there a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the street name change from Magnolia Lane to Magnolia Lane South within the Plantation Bay Phase 1A subdivision.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. I'll open it up for public comment. Anybody from the public wish to comment? Come on up, state your name. Welcome.
Morning. My name's John Silva. I'm one of those on the plat there. By the way, I'm thrilled that you're doing this. I can't tell you how many packages have been just lost for me, as well as contractors and people trying to find me. My biggest concern was if we dialed 911, what would happen? They'd wind up, 8 miles away. So I'm thrilled. My only confusion is since we're further north, why the south? Because it's going south, even though it's in Norman Beach. Okay, we were just confused as to why we'd be south when we're 8 miles north of the other one. That was the only thing. But thrilled that this is happening, by the way. I can't tell you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming to let us know. It is helpful to get public comment, good and bad. So
we've had numerous people, even my own family, trying to find. If you have an Apple phone, you'll find it. If you have an Android, you go to the other place every time. Every contractor, I have to physically call them. Don't go to the place, and they'll tell you, "No, I can find it," and they won't find it.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion by, I'll just make a last call for any other public comment. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead to vote. We have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. You done good today, Adam. Yeah. All right, we'll close general business. There's no public hearings, and we'll go to reports. So, County Administrator report.
Just a few items. We're continuing to develop new cards on our transparency dashboard. We continue to find new things to help tell our story. So some of the new ones that we've added, we did add one, if you haven't seen it, for engineering projects. It includes both vertical and linear projects, so like any road work that's going on, our beaches, our dunes. It also has any projects that they're working on as far as maybe fire stations and things like that. So it's a good way for us to be able to dive into more of those details, who the project manager is, the budget, and just kind of giving a high-level overview of where we're at in the project. We're also recently added a new one that's for stormwater drainage maintenance schedules. So it's more of like a static schedule that really talks about like maintenance activities related to cleaning ditches and swales and things like that for the public, so they can see where they're at in that process. We're also internally developing a tracking mechanism for reporting airport noise complaints or issues. It's still being worked out with GIS, and then staff at the airport on the backside will have an opportunity to reach out to the individuals and provide information and feedback for that. Moving on, we met with the school board staff about the possibility of them utilizing the historic courthouse when the Baptist Academy leaves. As you recall, the Baptist Academy had told us that they were looking to vacate August 1st. They are interested in being let out of their lease. They will continue to pay the rent and the utilities until we can find a suitable tenant or until their lease runs out. The school board is looking at doing a tentatively scheduled to present their plan to the school board on May 21st. So once we have an idea of what that's going to shape up to look like, if they are interested in using our facility, we'll have an opportunity to bring back an amended agreement for the Baptist Academy if we can find them as a suitor. Just wanted to let you know. And then tomorrow morning, staff will be reinstalling a Moby mat at the dead end of Malacomper Road. That'll help with beach access for ocean rescue, and as well as for some of those pedestrians or people that try to get onto the beach with a cart. So I think it'll address the email that if you were copied on that you are familiar with. They are somewhat problematic though when you have changing conditions at the beach where you've got those washouts. So it is something that we are trying to reinstall, but I don't know how conditions can change. But just wanted to provide you those updates, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. County Attorney report.
I don't have any report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Again, we'll open this up for community outreach. Again, another time period for the public to come and talk to the commission. Is there any final public comment? Seeing none, we'll come back to the dais for commission reports. So Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah, I spent this last week at the Songwriters Festival, which was awesome. Man, it's grown from 2 nights to 4 nights, and 4 outside of the school venue, but in other little restaurants and stuff around it. It's actually amazing how much that's grown and how much it brings into the county in the way of tourism. Also, tonight there's an HCA meeting that's the sheriff at the Hammock Community Association. The sheriff and his deputies are going to be the prime speakers, but part of the agenda is us, the community. And so I'd like to get together with Heidi, with you after this meeting to talk about that. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sullivan.
Just one, we do have our regular quarterly disadvantaged public transportation meeting coming up this Wednesday in conjunction with Northeast Florida Regional. And that, I think over time, that'll become more and more important as the population continues to grow and so on. So those are always open meetings, like many of the other things we do. That one's coming up Wednesday. That's it.
All right, great. Commissioner O'Brien. The only thing I wanted to bring forward is there was, I saw a post on trash and graffiti at Betty Stefflick Park. So I don't know if you could have somebody check on that. There were things in the water that needed to be removed in along the marsh area. And then, is there a timeline for the new helicopter being put in service?
I think it's, I'll have Chief Tucker, I don't remember the date off the top of my head. I thought it was within a month, but
It was just a question from the public. I just wanted to clarify the timeline.
We're anticipating delivery in the first week of June,
Okay.
so about 5 weeks.
I was sent some videos from the Mondex yesterday. Was
Yes, sir.
Fireflight busy yesterday out
It
in
was very
Mondex?
busy yesterday.
Was that fires?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We had a couple of them out there, and then we had another incident on the east side that we had to get assistance from
I guess
another agency.
it is time to put the PSA out there because it has been dry.
It's
been
been
a
very
dry
dry.
time right now, and so I'm sure things are very sensitive. We might want to get some PSAs either on social media to be on the lookout and be careful. And
Yes, sir. It's becoming a tinderbox.
okay,
So the helicopter's on the surplus list, but we're still flying it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's the individual
Down.
who's purchased has agreed to that. So
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
you're welcome.
somebody thought that was the new helicopter, and I had to tell them it was still the current one. We haven't replaced it yet, and I just
Yes,
was
sir.
curious. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Really, I think that's all. I wish I didn't have time and opportunity to go to a songwriters festival. I went last year, and it was very entertaining. And I wish I had time to have gone this year, but we'll plan for next time.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn. Second. Everybody have a good day. Appreciate y'all